If you've ever been underestimated, sidelined, or told to wait your turn while someone less qualified was handed your seat, then you already know how this story ends. But what you build after the betrayal, that's yours. That's power. If this story hit home, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment. Did she go too far, or not far enough? Because in business and in life, sometimes silence is just the start of the storm. The confetti cannons went off too early. Tiny green and silver bits of paper fluttered down like fake leaves in a windless forest, sticking to my blazer and hair as I stepped onto the makeshift stage. I blinked at the standing ovation that met me louder than expected, too enthusiastic. A man in the front row whistled. Another chanted my name. Camille, Camille. I smiled politely, professionally. My stomach churned. Behind me, the projector screen displayed the headline, in bold, 500% yearly growth, Verdant Core's cleantech expansion. I should have felt proud. I'd built the entire market strategy from scratch, pivoted us from selling to startups to securing multi-million-dollar contracts with municipal governments. My team had doubled. My hours had tripled. The numbers didn't just climb, they rocketed. During a recession, Harold Linwood, our CEO, and my longtime mentor stepped forward and pulled me into a half-hug. Everyone, let's give it up for the woman behind our best year. Yet our brilliant director of strategic ops, Camille Torres. The room thundered again, cameras flashed. I caught my reflection in a window behind the crowd, composed, radiant, successful. A mask I wore well. Harold lifted his hand. The applause faded. This growth is no small feat. He began pacing slowly like a practiced preacher. It signals a turning point not just for Verdant Core, but for the entire industry. And with that kind of momentum, it's time for bold, visionary leadership. Fresh eyes, future-driven. My smile didn't falter, not even as his voice deepened, warmed with paternal pride. That's why I'm proud to announce our new Vice President of Strategic Growth, someone young, driven with a heart for this company's mission. The double doors opened. A tall figure entered, too clean-cut, too expensive. Early 20s, suit tailored but stiff, smiling like a kid at his own birthday party. Harold's voice was clear now, unapologetic. My son, Grayson Linwood. The room fell silent in slow motion. A few polite claps, a cough. My team looked at me in shock. I looked back calm. Grayson reached out a hand. I've heard so much about you, Camille. Can't wait to work together. I shook it. Firm grip, neutral expression. Inside something shattered, but I smiled, because I already knew what they didn't. While Harold had been grooming his son in secret, I had been preparing something of my own, quietly, methodically, and today I wasn't the only one walking into a trap. My office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River. On a normal day, it felt like flying, like being above the noise. But that day, the glass felt like a cage, a transparent reminder of everything I'd built, and how easily it had been handed away. I sat alone, the roar of the celebration still faintly echoing from the executive lounge. They were drinking champagne, toasting the Linwood legacy. I was sipping cold coffee. My team hadn't come to debrief like usual, probably didn't know what to say. I didn't blame them. There were no official memos, no title changes yet. But everyone knew what just happened. Harold had skipped over a woman who delivered 500% growth and handed the keys to a man with no experience, no scars, no proof, a Nepo promotion, and I was expected to train him. I turned from the window and stared at my whiteboard. It still had this morning's Q3 target breakdowns. Notes in my handwriting, 3 markers uncapped. I capped them slowly, carefully, as if this moment deserved ceremony. Then a knock. It was Alex, one of the analysts I'd mentored for 2 years. She hesitated at the door, her voice low. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You deserve that title. We all know it. I smiled genuinely this time. Not the mask. Thanks, Alex. She lingered. Are you going to stay? A fair question, the one I was asking myself too. I don't know yet, I said. That wasn't the full truth. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I just hadn't let myself say it out loud. After she left, I pulled open my bottom drawer. Inside a navy blue leather folio. I'd started it months ago, half precaution, half instinct. I'd labeled it Phase 2. Inside were printed email threads, client growth charts, supplier conflict summaries, and private memos about an upcoming merger. Harold had been trying to hide, even from the board. I never planned to use it, until now. I laid the documents out across my desk. Slowly, like puzzle pieces, every line, every footnote, every discrepancy, clear as the lines in the glass behind me. I remembered something Harold once said back when I first joined Verdant Core. Loyalty is rewarded here, Camille. I had been loyal. I had sacrificed weekends, birthdays, relationships. Hell, I'd lost hearing in my left ear temporarily from a stress-induced immune flare during our solar bid sprint. I thought loyalty meant security, but in Harold's world, loyalty just meant obedience. Grayson knocked 3 hours later. Hey, just checking in, wanted to start syncing up on strategy when you're ready. He said it like this was a game we were both happy to play. I nodded slowly, gesturing to the seat across from me. Let's talk team dynamics, I said, voice warm even. For the next 45 minutes, I gave him a curated overview of my team's structures. Surface-level textbook stuff. Nothing strategic, nothing vital. He didn't even notice. He just smiled, took fake notes, and asked if we could grab drinks next week to bond as leaders. Sure, I said. Let's do that. By the time he left, it was already dark outside. The city lights shimmered on the river, a mirror of a world that looked dazzling until you leaned in and saw the cracks. I turned back to my whiteboard, erased every number, every forecast. Then I wrote one line in red ink: exit strategy initiated. No more glass cage, no more borrowed ceilings. Now it was my turn. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. Not yet. The thing about revenge is it works better in silence. In movement without noise, like subsonic tremors before an earthquake. The Monday after the celebration, I arrived at the office earlier than usual. I wore navy understated makeup and flats instead of heels. I wanted to move fast, unnoticed. By 8:10 a.m., I'd sent out 4 emails, one to Kara, my old college friend now working at Morning Sky Capital, asking for a hypothetical breakdown of first-round funding processes. One to Jen, our most trusted supplier rep, requesting a lunch catch-up off the books. One to myself with all internal strategy decks I'd personally built. No confidential client data. Just my work, my IP. One to legal, a casual request to clarify the company's post-departure non-compete clause. At 8:42 a.m., Grayson walked by my office munching a protein bar. He waved like we were best friends now. I waved back, practiced, hollow. By noon, I'd already made 2 decisions. I'd give them 21 days, 3 weeks, just enough time to shift my weight without tipping the boat. I'd take 2 people with me, people who mattered. But first, I had to learn how much damage they were prepared to risk. It started with Tyrell, our CRM lead. He stopped by with 2 coffees. No reason, just said he had a hunch. I don't know what your plan is, he said, lowering his voice. But if there's something better, don't forget me. I didn't smile. I just tapped the coffee lid twice and said, timing is everything. He understood. After he left, I opened the Phase 2 folio again. This time, I added 2 names, Tyrell. And later that day, Indira, our lead copy strategist, sent me a Slack message with just 3 words. Window closing fast. She knew. Indira always knew more than she said. That night, I stayed late, not because of workload, but to test something. I moved files between folders, changed dashboard permissions, observed which alerts triggered. Within 30 minutes, Harold's assistant checked in accidentally about my shared access to the Q4 projections. They were watching me. Good. Let them. Tuesday morning, I hosted our weekly marketing sync. I let Grayson lead. Watched him stumble through jargon he didn't fully grasp, misattribute 2 client wins, and mispronounce the name of a long-term vendor. My team glanced at me waiting. I said nothing. I nodded supportively. Grayson seemed proud of himself. The meeting ended early. I stayed behind to erase the whiteboard, but Tyrell lingered. You're not gonna fix what he said, he asked. No, I replied. Not anymore. By Friday, word of Camille being unusually quiet had made its rounds. I was no longer the frontline general. I was the ghost in the system, present, productive, but emotionally vacated. And in a place like Verdant Core, absence of complaint was more dangerous than outright rebellion, because it made people wonder what you were building in the silence. The invitation came via LinkedIn message. Camille in town for 2 days. Would love to reconnect over dinner, your pick. My treat, Jenna R. Jenna Rivera, former SVP at my previous firm, now head of client innovation at Delta Stratagem, one of the fastest growing consulting groups in the Western US. She'd always had a sixth sense for timing. I chose Thatcher's, a quiet place in Midtown, with white tablecloths and heavy chairs, the kind of place where people talk about partnerships without whispering. I wore gray wool, a dark lip, and carried nothing but a leather folio. Still the sharpest in the room, Jenna said as we hugged. I heard about the celebration and the adjustment. So the news had made it outside Verdant Core. I survived the party, I said, pouring her wine, but the aftertaste still lingering. She tilted her head. Verdant was your baby. Everyone knows that growth was you. I shrugged. Babies get left at the doorstep all the time. Jenna didn't laugh. She watched me. I let the silence do its job. After appetizers, I slid a napkin across the table. On it, 2 columns, clients and people. 6 names, no context. Just enough to spark interest. Jenna blinked once. These aren't random. No, these are possible converts, if they had somewhere to land. Camille, are you? Starting something? Not yet. Just sketching, testing water temperatures. She leaned in. You know Delta could be interested in absorbing a new wing, if that's what you're thinking. I'm thinking I want clean lines, full autonomy, not a tuck-in acquisition. She nodded. Respect. The waiter brought dessert. Jenna barely touched hers. You wouldn't need to build alone, she said. You bring 3 of those names on that napkin, Delta would back it. As a spin-off, you get your name on the door. Your clients, your team, our capital. My heartbeat didn't change, but my mind cataloged every word. What's the timeline? I asked. 6 weeks, she said. After that, the Q1 budgets are frozen. I need 3. She gave me a long look. You serious, dead? She smiled. There she is. As we stood to leave, she touched my elbow lightly. You get 1 chance to turn the knife clean. If you're going in, don't hesitate. Outside, I stood on the curb and watched her car vanish into the downtown traffic. My breath clouded in the night air, but my thoughts were laser sharp. When I got home, I opened a blank file and titled it Vire Venture Initiative for Real Equity. I stared at the cursor, then typed Core Team 4 Core Clients. 5 minimum runway, 90 days strategic narrative. Built by those who bled for the growth. It was real now. The next morning, I walked into Verdant Core with a polite smile, a full calendar, and 3 signed NDAs waiting in my inbox from Jenna's legal team. I scheduled lunch with Tyrell, coffee with Indira, a vendor meeting with Kyle from Ops. Every interaction was normal, professional, harmless, but in every smile and every glance I could feel it. The quiet fire was spreading. The next Friday, Verdant Core hosted its quarterly leadership mixer, a glassy affair with mocktails, artisanal charcuterie, and small talk laced with sharp agendas. I wore midnight navy, crisp and composed. My hair swept back, posture straight, smile surgically polite. I didn't drink. I didn't need fog. Liam, the CEO, hovered by the avocado toast station holding court. He spotted me and waved like I was a favorite niece. Camille, you made it, he said, cheeks pink from praise or wine. I was just telling a new advisor how this whole machine keeps turning thanks to you. I gave him a tight smile. I've always loved machines, until they start replacing parts that still work. His grin wavered. Drew, yes, that Drew appeared behind him holding 2 sparkling waters and nodding like a backup dancer. He was now officially VP of Growth Strategy, a title that meant nothing except Camille's work rebranded. Liam motioned for Drew to come closer. I hope you and Drew are syncing well, Liam said. Absolutely, I said. We've discussed his onboarding trajectory extensively. Drew perked up. She's been amazing. I mean, I still don't know what half the dashboards are showing, but Camille's helping me decode. I turned to him. You'll get there. Just follow the dotted line. He laughed, not knowing that the dotted line I referred to was the one he was already standing on. I excused myself and found Tyrell near the back window. Big week, I said. He raised an eyebrow. You meeting people behind the ficus again? Tyrell and I had worked together for 2 years. He was sharp, loyal, and the only one who ever pulled me out of a tailspin during launch week. I trusted him more than I should have. I'm starting something, I said quietly. His face didn't move. Not for ego, for air, for the people who built the 500%, for the people who aren't handed titles after golf retreats. He took a slow sip of his drink. Who else knows, just you? and someone who once offered me dinner and delivered capital. He nodded. And if I said I wanted in, I'd ask what you can bring. Clients 2 and 6 from your napkin, he said without missing a beat. I smiled. That earns a handshake. We shook. It looked casual. To everyone else, it was just 2 colleagues catching up near the raw bar. To Liam, who watched us from across the room with a politician's stare, it was something else. He started toward us. I turned to intercept him. Camille, he said we should talk next week. There may be some advisory board shifts coming. I think you'd be perfect for anchoring that team. Of course, I said smoothly. Let's circle back after I finish onboarding Drew. His eyes narrowed. You've always been dependable. That's what machines love best, I said. Dependable parts. We shook hands. It looked harmless. But from that moment, he knew. I wasn't just onboarding the CEO's son. I was preparing to offboard the company from my life. I didn't announce anything, no press release, no LinkedIn post, just 3 quiet meetings in corner coffee shops with 3 key clients. And then silence. At first, things at Virion stayed the same, or seemed to. Drew was posting corporate selfies. Excited to lead this next phase of growth, he wrote, gripping a whiteboard marker like it held secrets. But I'd planted seeds, watered them, and now they were beginning to bloom. 3 weeks in, one of the designers who jumped ship with me forwarded an internal email. Subject urgent FYI from Panora Pharma. It was short. As of next quarter, we'll be moving our marketing operations to an external boutique agency. We valued our time with Virion. Panora made up 22% of Virion's revenue. The next morning, Drew emailed me. No greeting, just, "Can we talk about Panora?" I didn't respond. Within 5 days, 2 more clients gave notice, both using the same phrasing, seeking a more agile and specialized strategy partner. That was my line. By the following Monday, I had 4 missed calls from Luther. I didn't answer. On Tuesday, a 5th, then 6th. By Friday morning, my phone showed 17 missed calls, half from numbers I knew, half masked behind corporate switchboards. I let them all ring. Then came the kicker. That afternoon, I was wrapping up a budget call when Jasmine, my operations lead, rushed in holding her phone. "You're going to want to see this," she said. It was a screenshot of an industry Slack channel. Word is Virion just lost 2 more major clients. Someone's cleaning house and it ain't the new VP. Someone added, whoever started Readmark genius move. Their site just went live. Clean, confident, dangerous. I clicked through the link myself. My logo, my strategy, our story finally real. A site built to convert, not impress. That was the difference between me and them. I wasn't interested in vanity. I was building impact. That weekend, I sat at my favorite rooftop cafe in downtown Portland. Chamomile tea, clean air, sunlight on my face. My phone buzzed again. Call number 23, Luther Dalton, declined. Call 24, Drew Dalton, straight to voicemail. Call 25. Unknown number left a message. I didn't need to listen. I already knew the tone, panic wrapped in politeness. They were drowning, and for the first time in years, I wasn't the one gasping for air. By the time Virion's 4th major client announced their departure, I'd already begun my onboarding call with them. I didn't rush it. I even asked how their CEO liked her tea. That same afternoon, Luther called again. Call number 31. This time I answered. His voice was slow, careful. "Camille, we should talk." I leaned back in my chair. "We are. We've been hit hard. Panora, Brexton, Lumora, now Geotem. I know you're behind it." "I'm not behind anything," I said evenly. "They chose what's best for them." Silence. "Drew wasn't ready. That's on me. But you, Camille, you built something incredible here. And I want to make it right." I said nothing. "Come back. I'll undo it all. VP of Global Strategy. Your own division. Name your number. Equity. Hell, I'll even rewrite the org chart." It was everything I'd once dreamed of hearing. Only now it sounded like desperation dragging itself across broken glass. "I'm not for sale," I said. "And neither is my silence." "This isn't blackmail," he tried. "No, it's a negotiation you've already lost." He exhaled hard. "What do you want then?" I paused. Let the weight of the moment settle. I wanted recognition. I wanted trust. I wanted my work respected and my team protected. "You gave all that to someone who'd never earned it." "He's my son," he muttered. Exactly. You can't just destroy a company and walk away. I didn't destroy it. You handed it over to a child because he had your last name. I heard a desk drawer slam in the background. You're vindictive. No, I said I'm thorough. I hung up. The following week, headlines started appearing. Virion plummets as major clients exit in mass exodus. Marketing giant loses $80 in contracts. My phone didn't stop ringing, but this time it wasn't from Virion. It was recruiters, investors, journalists. One asked if I'd do a TED Talk. I said no, I wasn't done building. That Friday, I walked past the Virion Tower for the first time in weeks. Luther's luxury car was gone. A security guard I recognized nodded at me but didn't smile. I smiled. Inside my pocket was a folded napkin from that ridiculous celebration cake a month ago. I'd kept it not out of sentiment, but as a reminder, power is never given. It's taken. With precision, with patience, and with perfect timing. The day the final numbers came in, I sat alone in my office. Not because I didn't have a team, I did, a damn good one. But this moment belonged to me. 12 clients, 5 industry awards, 1 acquisition offer. Reed & Lyon, a West Coast conglomerate, had just offered a buyout $42 million with full autonomy for my division and a permanent board seat. 2 years ago, I'd have killed for Luther's approval. Now, someone bigger was offering me partnership. And Luther, he'd gone silent. Drew was rumored to be in Lisbon. The Virion board was dissolved. SEC filings had begun. I didn't celebrate. There was no champagne, just one final email draft sitting open on my laptop. Subject: data integrity. Historical audit findings. To investigative@sec.gov. Attached every file, every forged number, every chain of emails. I stared at the cursor, blinking. Was it necessary? Would it change anything? I closed the laptop. Not out of mercy, out of clarity. They were already buried under the weight of their own arrogance. My file was insurance. But I wasn't in the demolition business anymore. I walked to the glass wall of my office. Below me, the city pulsed, each window a life, each light a story. Mine was just one. But it mattered. My assistant buzzed in. Camille Press wants a comment on the acquisition. Want me to forward? I thought about it, then smiled. No, I said. Let them wonder. Epilogue. A month later, I received an envelope. No return address. Inside a single line, 500% growth, and 1 clean break. It wasn't signed. But I didn't need to know who sent it. I already knew what I'd built: not revenge, not dominance, a legacy.